Captain Jum Kim stood tall as the large doors opened to the Galactic Council chamber. His Earth Defense Force uniform felt too tight around his neck. The air in the room was different, cleaner, somehow with a slight smell like mint. 50 pairs of alien eyes turned to watch him enter. "The human representative may approach," said a voice that seemed to come from everywhere. June walked forward, his steps echoing in the quiet room. The chamber was huge, with curved walls that went up so high he couldn't see the ceiling. Aliens of all shapes sat in rows that rose up like steps. Some had scales, others had fur. Some had too many eyes, others had none at all. At the center was a round table where 7 aliens sat. These were the High Council members, the most powerful beings in the galaxy. "Captain Jum Kim of Earth," he said, placing his hand over his heart in a human salute. "I bring greetings from Earth." A tall alien with blue-gray skin stood up. This was Ambassador Karek of the Valmid Empire. His thin lips curved into what might have been a smile. "The Council acknowledges Earth," Karek said. His voice was smooth like oil. "How interesting that such a young species has made it this far." June kept his face calm, but he felt the insult hidden in Karek's words. "Earth is ready to join the galactic community," June said. A small bird-like alien let out a sound like laughter. "Are you? Your kind has barely left your own solar system. Your ships are slow. Your weapons are simple. What can Earth offer the Council?" June looked at the speaking alien. "We are new to space travel, yes, but humans learn quickly. We adapt. We solve problems in ways others might not think of." Ambassador Karek walked around the table. He was very tall, almost twice June's height. He looked down at the human. "Brave words. But the Council needs more than words." Karek turned to the others. "The human world sits between our territories and the coming Nexeri swarm. Perhaps they can be useful as a buffer zone." A murmur went through the room. June had heard about the Nexeri during his briefing. They were a hive-mind species moving through the galaxy, destroying everything in their path. A gentle voice spoke up. "We should not dismiss humans so quickly." June turned to see a slender alien with pale green skin and large, kind eyes. This was Delegate Mira of the Ellerin species, known for their wisdom. "Thank you, Delegate Mira," June said with a small bow. "Don't thank me yet, Captain," she replied. "The path ahead is difficult. Many here see humans as primitive. You must prove your worth." Ambassador Karek made a dismissive gesture. "Humans have only had spaceflight for 200 years. The Valmid Empire has existed for 50,000 years. We have ships that can cross the galaxy in days. We have weapons that can target a single insect from orbit. Technology isn't everything," Jum said. "Humans have qualities that machines don't." This caused more laughter in the chamber. Karek's 4 eyes narrowed. "Such as creativity, determination, precision even without advanced computers." Karek smiled now, showing teeth that looked too sharp. "Is that so? Your confidence is amusing, human." The central chair, larger than the others, was occupied by a being made of swirling light. It spoke in a deep, calm voice. "Enough. The Council will grant Earth provisional membership. Captain Kim will stay as Earth's representative. We will evaluate human contributions over time." June bowed deeply. "Earth thanks the Council." As the meeting ended, Ambassador Karek walked past June. "Enjoy your stay, Captain," he said quietly. "I look forward to showing you how truly primitive humans are compared to the rest of us." June watched him leave, then took a deep breath. This was just the beginning. Earth needed this alliance, but it would not be easy to win the Council's respect. He had much work to do. 3 weeks after the first meeting, Jum sat at a long table in the military committee chamber. He had been invited to observe the Council's defense planning against the Nexeri swarm. Around him sat military leaders from 12 different alien species. General Vex of the Valmid forces stood at the front of the room. He pointed to a large 3D map showing star systems near Earth. "The Nexeri will reach this area in 6 months. said General Vex. His voice was harsh and metallic. "We must prepare defenses here, here, and here." He pointed to 3 star systems. June noticed that Earth was not marked for defense. It seemed the Council planned to let the Nexari hit Earth first. "What about Earth's defense?" June asked, standing up. The room went quiet. General Vex looked at June as if just noticing he was there. "Earth will receive some support," Vex said. "But your world has little strategic value beyond slowing the enemy." June felt his face grow hot. "Earth has 7 billion people. And no effective space defenses," said Vex. "Your weapons are too primitive. The Nexari would destroy your fleets in hours." Ambassador Karek, who sat at the head of the table, smiled. Perhaps the human would like to see real military technology. With a wave of his hand, Karek brought up a new image. It showed a Volmid ship firing at targets in space. Each shot hit perfectly. "Our targeting systems use quantum calculations," Karek said proudly. "We can hit a target the size of your fist from 1,000,000 kilometers away." The other aliens nodded, impressed. June watched the demonstration, thinking. "Humans have skilled marksmen too," he said finally. The room erupted in laughter. Karek's 4 eyes blinked in amusement. "You mean with your chemical projectile weapons?" Karek asked. "Those ancient things that use explosion to push metal?" "Yes," said June. "We call them guns, and our best shooters, we call them snipers, can hit targets with amazing accuracy." General Vex made a sound like a snort. "Without computer assistance, impossible. No biological brain can make the calculations needed for true precision." June thought of the stories he had heard about the legendary Earth snipers. "Our best can hit targets over 2 kilometers away, accounting for wind, gravity, and the Earth's rotation, all in their head." Now the aliens weren't just laughing. They were almost falling out of their seats. 2 kilometers, mocked Karek. "Our smallest scout ships can hit targets from orbit." June stood up straight. "It's different. Your computers do the work. Our snipers use skill, experience, and human intuition." Delegate Mira, who had been quiet until now, looked interested. "I would like to see this human skill." Karek's laughter stopped. He looked at Mira, then back at June. "Yes," he said slowly. "A demonstration. That would be entertaining." June felt a trap closing, but he couldn't back down now. "I accept," he said. "Name the challenge." Karek smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "A shooting competition. Your best human against our automated systems. If you win, Earth gets full defense support against the Nexari. If you lose," his smile grew wider, "Earth relies on its own primitive defenses." The room went quiet. June knew he had just gambled the safety of his entire planet. "I need to contact Earth," he said, "to send for our best." "You have 2 weeks," said Karek. "The competition will be held on Nexus 7, a moon with challenging conditions." As the meeting ended, Delegate Mira approached June. "That was either very brave or very foolish," she said softly. "Maybe both," June admitted. "Who will you call?" she asked. June smiled for the first time since arriving at the council. "Sergeant Hanuel Park," he said. "The best sniper in Earth's history." That night, June sent an urgent message to Earth. Everything now depended on a single human and their ability to take an impossible shot. June waited nervously at the docking bay as the Earth ship landed. It was small compared to the massive alien vessels around it. The ship looked plain and simple, with EDF Transport painted on its side. The doors opened with a hiss of air. 2 people walked out. First came a tall man with broad shoulders. He wore a simple black uniform with the Earth Defense Force patch. This was Corporal Taeyun Lee, the spotter. Behind him came a woman of medium height with short black hair. She moved with quiet grace. Her face showed no emotion, but her eyes missed nothing. She carried a long case in one hand. This was Sergeant Hanuel Park, Earth's best sniper. Captain Kim, she said, giving a perfect salute. Sergeant Park, Corporal Lee. Jun returned the salute. Thank you for coming so quickly. Newell nodded. I understand the situation is serious. I'll brief you on the way to your quarters, Jun said, leading them away from the ship. As they walked through the space station, aliens of all kinds stopped to stare. Some pointed and whispered. Others laughed behind their hands. Newell ignored them all. The challenge is in 2 days, Jun explained. You'll be competing against the Valmid automated targeting system. What are the conditions? Asked Taeyang. Nexus 7 is a moon with 1.3 times Earth's gravity. The air is thinner than Earth's. The wind patterns change suddenly. Temperature shifts can happen in minutes. Newell nodded, taking in the information. And the distances. 5 targets, the closest at 800 meters. The farthest at 3.2 kilometers. Taeyang whistled. That's pushing the limits, even for you. Newell said nothing, but her eyes narrowed slightly. They arrived at a large room where several aliens were gathered. Ambassador Karak stood in the center, talking loudly. Ah, the human champion arrives, he said, his voice full of fake friendliness. We were just discussing the odds. I believe they are not in your favor. Newell looked at him calmly. I'll need to check the range today. Karak laughed. Eager to practice, it won't help. A tall, insect-like alien stepped forward. I am placing 5,000 credits on the Valmid system. Make it 10,000, said another. Soon the room was filled with aliens betting against the human. Newell showed no reaction. Delegate Mira approached them quietly. I have arranged for you to visit the range today. Sergeant Park, I would be honored to take you there. Thank you, Newell said with a small bow. Before they left, Karak called out, Would you like to see what you're up against, human? He waved his hand, and a hologram appeared. It showed the Valmid weapon system, a sleek silver machine with multiple barrels and glowing parts. Our system calculates 50 variables in less than a second, Karak boasted. Wind speed, gravity, air density, target movement, all measured perfectly. Newell looked at the machine. Then she opened her case. Inside was a long rifle. It was made of metal and polymer, with a large scope on top. Next to it lay boxes of ammunition. The weapon was clearly mechanical. No glowing parts, no fancy technology. The alien stared, then burst into laughter. That's it, Karak said between laughs. That's your weapon. It uses gunpowder and metal slugs. Newell closed the case. It's all I need. The human thinks she can be our technology with that ancient tool. An alien called out, causing more laughter. As they walked away, Jun felt sick with worry. The fate of Earth now rested on what looked like an outdated weapon against the most advanced technology in the galaxy. They're underestimating you, he said quietly. Newell's lips curved into a small smile. Good. As they followed Mira to the training range, Taeyang leaned closer to Jun. You should know something about Newell, he whispered. What's that? Asked Jun. She's never missed an important shot. Not once. For the first time in weeks, Jun felt a small spark of hope. Nexus 7 was a barren moon with gray dust and strange rock formations. The sky above was dark purple, with a giant ringed planet taking up a quarter of the view. Newell stood at the shooting range, feeling the higher gravity pull at her body. Each breath brought thin, cold air into her lungs. The wind blew dust across the rocky ground. This place was chosen to make you fail, said Taeyang as he set up his spotting scope. Newell nodded. Show me the targets. Delegate Mira pointed to 5 metal discs set up at different distances. Each was painted bright red against the gray landscape. The first target is 800 meters, Mira explained. Then 1,500 meters, 2,100 meters, 2,700 meters, and finally, 3,200 meters, finished Newell. She looked through her rifle scope at the farthest target. It was barely visible, a tiny red dot in the distance. "No one has ever hit the final target without computer help," said Mira. "The conditions are too difficult." Hanul lowered her rifle. "Tell me about the wind patterns." For the next 2 hours, Hanul and Taeyang studied the range. They took notes on wind speeds, air pressure, and temperature changes. Hanul shot test rounds at different distances, feeling how the higher gravity affected her bullets. A crowd of aliens gathered to watch. Many laughed or made jokes about the primitive humans and their ancient weapons. Ambassador Carrick arrived with General Vex. They'd brought the Valmid targeting system, a sleek machine that could be operated by a single alien. "Are the humans still trying?" Carrick asked loudly. "How amusing." Hanul ignored him. She was writing in a small notebook, making calculations by hand. General Vex walked over to look at her notes. "What is this? You're using paper and pencil for ballistic calculations." "Yes," said Hanul simply. The general shook his head in disbelief. "Our system does 1,000,000 calculations per second." "Good for your system," said Taeyang. He was checking the wind with a small handheld device. As the practice time ended, a council official explained the rules of tomorrow's challenge. "Each competitor gets 3 attempts per target," the official said. "You must hit at least 3 of the 5 targets to qualify. The winner is determined by accuracy, speed, and number of attempts needed." Hanul nodded, still making notes. "Our system has already mapped the entire range," boasted the Valmid operator. "We know every wind pattern, every gravity variation." "Congratulations," said Hanul without looking up. That evening, back on the space station, Jun found Hanul and Taeyang still working. They had created a detailed map of Nexus 7's shooting range. "How does it look?" asked Jun, worry clear in his voice. "The last target is nearly impossible," said Taeyang. "The bullet will pass through 3 different wind zones. There's a gravity distortion at the 2,800-meter mark. And the air density changes every few minutes." "Can you do it?" Jun asked Hanul directly. She looked up from her calculations. "Yes." "How can you be so sure?" Jun pressed. "The Valmid system has quantum computers." "Computers follow programs," said Hanul. "They can't feel the shot." "Feel the shot?" Jun was confused. Hanul stood up and looked out the window at the stars. "A good sniper doesn't just calculate," she explained. "We become part of the bullet's journey. We feel the wind before it changes. We sense the perfect moment." "That sounds like magic," said Jun. Hanul smiled slightly. "Not magic. Experience. Instinct. Things a machine will never have." Taeyang nodded. "I've seen her make shots that were mathematically impossible. The computers said they couldn't be done." Jun took a deep breath. "Earth is counting on you both." "Get some rest, Captain," said Hanul. "Tomorrow will be a long day." As Jun left, he saw Hanul close her eyes, her hands forming the shape of her rifle. She was practicing the shot in her mind, again and again, preparing for the impossible challenge ahead. The day of the competition arrived. A large crowd gathered on Nexus 7 to watch. Most aliens came to see the humans fail. Some important council members sat in a protected viewing area, including the high chair of the council. Hanul and Taeyang arrived dressed in simple Earth military uniforms. They carried their equipment to the firing line and began setting up. Hanul checked her rifle carefully. Taeyang prepared his spotting scope and small weather tools. The Valmid team brought their targeting system to the line. It looked even more impressive today. Glowing parts hummed with power as they connected it to a sleek energy rifle. "The rules are simple," announced the official. 5 targets, 3 attempts each. Begin with the closest target and move to the next only after hitting the previous one. Ambassador Carrick stepped forward. "As the challenged party, the Valmid Empire will go first." The Valmid operator took position behind the machine. He pressed some buttons, and the system began scanning the range. The energy rifle moved by itself, adjusting tiny amounts as its computers calculated the shot. Target 1, 800 meters. Firing, said the operator. A beam of bright blue energy shot from the rifle. It hit the first target dead center. Perfect hit, announced the official. The crowd cheered. Carrick smiled at June, who stood nervously watching. The Valmid system continued. It hit the second target, 1,500 meters, and the third target, 2,100 meters, with perfect shots on the first try. The crowd grew louder with each hit. For the fourth target at 2,700 meters, something interesting happened. The system took longer to calculate, moving the rifle back and forth as wind conditions changed. The operator frowned. Slight anomaly in wind patterns, he said. Recalibrating. The first shot missed by a small amount. The aliens in the crowd went quiet. Unusual turbulence detected, the operator said. Adjusting parameters. The second shot hit the edge of the target. Hit confirmed, said the official. Now it was Newell's turn for the first 4 targets. She took her position calmly. Tai Young lay beside her with his spotting scope. First target, wind from the right at 3 knots, he said quietly. Newell took a breath, held it, and squeezed the trigger. The rifle fired with a loud crack that echoed across the rocky landscape. Hit, called the official. The humans had hit the first target. Newell worked steadily through the targets. She hit the first 3 targets on her first attempt, just like the Valmid system. Her movements were smooth and certain. What interested the watching aliens was how Newell and Tai Young worked together. They spoke in short, quiet words. Sometimes just a gesture or nod passed between them. They're communicating in a strange way, said one alien scientist who was recording the event. It's almost like they share thoughts, said another. For the 4th target, Tai Young called out, wind shifting. Wait. Newell paused, her finger resting lightly on the trigger. Tai Young watched through his scope. Now, he said. Newell fired. The bullet hit the center of the target. Some aliens in the crowd began to look confused. The human had hit a target that had given the Valmid system trouble. Notice how they anticipated the wind change, said Delegate Murat to those around her. The machine reacted to it. The humans predicted it. The scores were tied. Both competitors had hit all 4 targets. The Valmid system had needed 5 shots total. Newell had needed only 4. Ambassador Carrick no longer looked amused. He spoke to General Vex in low, angry tones. The final target will decide the winner, announced the official. The crowd turned to look at the tiny red disc 3.2 kilometers away, a nearly impossible shot that would determine the fate of Earth. The Valmid system will shoot first, said the official. Newell simply nodded and waited her turn, her face calm but her eyes intense. The crowd grew silent as the Valmid operator prepared for the final shot. Even the aliens who had come to laugh at the humans were now watching with serious faces. The final target, 3.2 kilometers away, was barely visible to the naked eye. Making things harder, the council officials had placed it behind a partial energy shield. The shield will open a gap for 1.3 seconds every 17 seconds, explained the official. Your shot must pass through during that time. The Valmid operator nodded. Our system can calculate the exact timing. The targeting machine hummed louder as it ran complex calculations. Its parts moved slightly, adjusting the energy rifle to the perfect position. Targeting complete, said the operator. Firing on next shield gap. The rifle fired. A blue energy beam shot across the distance. It hit the shield just as the gap was closing. Miss, called the official. The crowd murmured in surprise. The Valmid system had missed. Anomaly detected, said the operator, his voice less confident now. Recalculating shield timing. The machine adjusted again. The operator pressed the firing button for the second attempt. This time, the beam hit the edge of the shield and scattered. Miss, called the official again. Ambassador Carrick's face showed anger now. General Vex walked over to the machine and began pressing buttons himself. "The shield timing is irregular," he complained. "This was not in the specifications." "The timing is within the stated parameters," replied the official calmly. The Valmid team huddled around their machine, making urgent adjustments. "Final attempt," announced the official. The machine hummed at its highest pitch. The rifle barrel moved in tiny increments as the system made its final calculations. "Firing," said the operator. The blue beam shot out. This time it passed through the gap and hit the target. "Hit confirmed," said the official. The Valmid team cheered. Ambassador Carrack looked relieved. He turned to Captain June. "Now let's see your primitive human try to match that," he said. Haynul took her position at the firing line. Instead of shooting right away, she lay down and simply watched the target through her scope. 1 minute passed, then 2. The crowd began to whisper. "What is she doing?" someone asked. "Maybe she's afraid to shoot," said another. Tai Young lay beside Haynul, watching through his spotting scope. They spoke quietly to each other, using words the translator couldn't understand. 5 minutes passed, then 10. Some aliens in the crowd began to laugh again. "The human is frozen with fear," Carrack said loudly. June watched nervously. What was taking so long? Finally, after nearly 15 minutes, Haynul spoke clearly. "I'm ready." The crowd went quiet again. "The shield timing is not truly regular," Haynul said. "It has a pattern of slight variations. Every 6th cycle, the gap stays open for 1.5 seconds instead of 1.3. The official's eyes widened. "That is correct. How did you determine this?" "I watched," Haynul said simply. She adjusted her position slightly. Tai Young called out final wind readings. Haynul took a deep breath, then another. "Wind from right at 5.2 knots, said Tai Young. "Density shift coming in 3, 2, 1. Haynul squeezed the trigger. The rifle cracked loudly. The bullet flew through the air, traveling across wind zones, through gravity distortions, and across the vast distance. Everyone watched the target. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the shield gap opened. The bullet passed through and hit the center of the target with a clear ping that echoed across the range. Complete silence fell over the crowd. Haynul had hit the target on her first attempt. Even the official seemed shocked. "Hit. Confirmed," he said finally. Delegate Mira stood up, her eyes wide. "1 shot," she said. The human needed only 1 shot. The alien scientists were frantically recording data. The council members were talking among themselves in urgent voices. Ambassador Carrack stood frozen, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly in disbelief. And Haynul. She simply stood up, brushed the dust from her uniform, and began to clean her rifle as if she had done nothing special at all. News of the human victory spread quickly through the Galactic Council. That evening, the main council chamber was filled with excited talk. Aliens who had never noticed humans before were now discussing them with great interest. Haynul sat quietly at a table, looking uncomfortable with all the attention. Aliens kept coming up to her, asking questions about her training and technique. "How many years did you train?" asked a small, furry alien. 15 years, Haynul answered. "And what computer implants do you use for calculations?" asked another. "None," said Haynul. "Just my brain." This answer caused even more excitement. Scientists were especially interested. "You made calculations in your head that our best computers struggled with," said a Valmid scientist, who seemed more curious than upset by the defeat. "How is this possible?" Haynul shrugged. "It's just physics and patience. I watched the patterns and felt the right moment." Captain June was in his element. He moved from group to group, speaking with council members who had ignored him before. Now they listened carefully to what he said about Earth. "Humans may not have the most advanced technology," June explained, "but we have unique abilities. We adapt, we observe, We feel what machines cannot. Delegate Mira approached Haynul with a respectful bow. Your skill is remarkable, she said, but even more impressive is how you and Corporal Lee worked together. The way you communicated, it was almost like you shared one mind. Tai Young smiled. We've worked together for 7 years. We don't need many words anymore. This teamwork is something we must study, said Mira. In the corner of the room, Ambassador Karak stood with General Vex. They were not happy. It was luck, insisted Vex. Nothing more. Perhaps, said Karak, but the Council doesn't see it that way. Look at them. Suddenly, these primitive humans are the most interesting species in the galaxy. Karak watched as the High Chair of the Council personally approached Haynul. This was a great honor. The High Chair rarely spoke directly to anyone. Sergeant Park, said the High Chair, your demonstration today has changed how the Council views humans. Haynul stood and bowed respectfully. Thank you, she said. I hope this means Earth will receive proper defense against the Nexari. Indeed, said the High Chair. The Council will honor the terms of the challenge. Earth will receive full defensive support. June could hardly believe how much had changed in one day. This morning, Earth had been seen as a primitive world of little value. Now, Council members were asking about human training methods and military cooperation. A group of military officials from different species gathered around June. We want to know more about these, snipers, said one. How you train them. How they work without computer assistance. And not just for military purposes, added a scientist. The human ability to observe patterns and make intuitive calculations could help in many fields. Later that night, Joan found Haynul standing alone on a viewing deck, looking out at the stars. You did it, he said. You saved Earth. Haynul nodded. For now, you don't seem very excited about your victory. I just did my job, she said. The shot was difficult, but not impossible. June laughed. The Council's best scientists are still trying to understand how you did it. They can't believe your brain calculated what their computers couldn't. Haynul turned to him. That's the problem with depending too much on machines. They can only do what they're programmed to do. They can't feel the shot. Well, the Council is definitely interested in human feelings now, said June. We've been invited to all the important meetings about the Nexari defense. Haynul looked back at the stars. Good, she said, because I have a feeling we're going to need both human skills and alien technology to face what's coming. 2 months after the shooting competition, Captain June sat in the Council's main defense chamber. Earth now had a permanent seat at the military planning table. Defensive ships from 6 different alien species had been sent to protect Earth, just as promised. But today, the mood was dark. Urgent messages were coming in from a distant outpost near the edge of Council space. We are under attack, said the alien commander on the large screen. Behind him, fires burned and people ran in panic. The Nexari came without warning. Our defenses air. The screen went black. The chamber erupted in shouting and confusion. The Nexari weren't supposed to reach that sector for another month, said General Vex. Our calculations were wrong. June looked at the star map. The attacked outpost was an important defense station called Outpost Zeta. If it fell, 3 star systems would be open to Nexari invasion. We must send ships immediately, said one council member. Agreed, said the High Chair. General Vex, prepare the response fleet. 6 hours later, the first reports from the battle arrived. They were not good. Our weapons cannot lock onto Nexari ships, reported a commander. They are using some kind of technology that confuses our targeting systems. More reports came in, all saying the same thing. The advanced targeting computers of council ships could not hit the Nexari vessels. Automated defense systems were useless. In the council chamber, panic was growing. How can we fight an enemy we cannot target? Asked an official. June had been quiet, thinking. Now he spoke up. What about manual targeting? He asked. General Vex looked confused. Manual? You mean having people aim the weapons? Without computers. Yes, said June. Like our snipers do. A moment of silence fell over the room. Then everyone started talking at once. Most of our weapon systems don't even have manual controls anymore, said a military engineer. Our crews haven't been trained to aim without computers for generations, added another official. As they argued, He Newell and Tai Young entered the chamber. They had been studying alien weapon systems for the past month. Captain, He Newell said to June, we've been monitoring the battle. The Nexeri are using some kind of electronic warfare. They send out signals that confuse targeting computers. But such signals wouldn't affect a human aiming manually, said June. Exactly, said He Newell. June turned to the council. We have a solution. Earth can provide trained human snipers to manually target your ship weapons. Ambassador Karek, who had been unusually quiet since the shooting competition, finally spoke up. That's ridiculous. Our ship weapons are too complex for manual operation. Actually, said a Valmid engineer, we could modify them. It wouldn't be perfect, but it could work. The high chair considered this for a moment. How many of these snipers does Earth have? Not enough for every ship, admitted June. But enough to make a difference. And we can train more. We can also teach your people how to aim manually. A new message appeared on the screen. Outpost Zeta had fallen. 3 more Nexeri attack groups were heading toward populated systems. We have no choice, said the high chair. Captain Kim, contact Earth. Request all available snipers to be sent immediately. We will provide transport. Karek stood up angrily. You're placing the defense of the council in the hands of primitives with outdated skills. The high chair turned to him. Those outdated skills might be exactly what we need right now. Sometimes old ways work when new technology fails. Within hours, urgent messages were sent to Earth. Transport ships were prepared. Council engineers began working on modifying ship weapons for manual operation, and He Newell found herself surrounded by alien officials asking her to teach them the art of taking the perfect shot, without computers, without automation, using only their eyes, their minds, and their instincts. The skill that the aliens had mocked was now their greatest hope for survival. 1 month after the fall of Outpost Zeta, the largest training center in Council space was filled with activity. The huge room that once housed advanced targeting computers now contained something much simpler: firing ranges. He Newell walked between the rows of alien trainees. Each held a modified weapon, aiming at targets without computer help. Some were doing well. Others struggled. Don't rush, He Newell told a frustrated Valmid trainee. Feel the weapon become part of you. Breathe with it. The Valmid tried again, following her instructions. This time, he hit the target. Good, said He Newell with a nod. In another part of the training center, Tai Young was teaching spotting techniques to aliens from 7 different species. A good spotter is as important as the shooter, he explained. You are their second set of eyes. You see what they cannot. June stood at the entrance with the high chair of the council, watching the training. Remarkable, said the high chair. In just 1 month, your people have trained over 300 alien snipers. And Earth has sent 500 of our own, added June, with more coming. The early battles against the Nexeri had been hard. Many ships and lives were lost. But the tide was beginning to turn. Ships with human snipers or newly trained alien marksmen were scoring hits against Nexeri vessels. The Nexeri expected our technology to fail, said the high chair. They did not expect us to adapt so quickly. That's what humans do best, said June. We adapt. Ambassador Karek approached them. He looked different now, less proud, more thoughtful. Captain Kim, he said with a small bow. I owe you and your people an apology. I was wrong about humans. June was surprised. Thank you, Ambassador. I believe that newer always meant better, continued Karek. I forgot that skills developed over generations have value too. A messenger ran up to them with urgent news. The Joint Fleet has engaged the main Nexeri force at Sector 12, the messenger reported. They're using the new manual targeting methods. Everyone hurried to the command center. Large screens showed the battle unfolding in space. Council ships moved in formations around the strange, dark shapes of Nexari vessels. "Our hit rate is 68%, reported a commander. Much better than before. Hanul and Taiyang joined them, watching the battle closely. "Look how they're using what we taught them," said Taiyang with pride. On screen, Council gunners were making shots that would have been impossible a month ago. They weren't just firing randomly. They were targeting specific parts of Nexari ships, showing the precision that Hanul had taught them. "We've pushed them back," announced a commander. The room erupted in cheers. Later that day, the High Chair called a special council meeting. Jun, Hanul, and Taeyang were given seats of honor. "Today marks a turning point," said the High Chair. "Thanks to Earth's help, we now have a way to fight the Nexari. But more importantly, we have learned a valuable lesson." The High Chair looked around the chamber. "We became too dependent on our technology. We forgot the value of skills that cannot be programmed. Earth has reminded us of this important truth." The Council voted unanimously to grant Earth full membership, not provisional, but permanent. A new Earth embassy would be built in the Council's central world. "And we propose something else," continued the High Chair. "A joint training academy where humans can teach their skills to all Council species." Hanul was appointed head instructor of this new academy. She would train thousands in the art of precision without computers. As the meeting ended, Hanul stood at a window, looking out at the stars. June joined her. "From mockery to respect," said June. "Quite a journey." Hanul nodded. "The best technology is useless without the skill to use it. And the oldest skills sometimes solve the newest problems." Across the galaxy, ships were being modified. Crews were learning to shoot manually. And the Nexari were facing something they hadn't expected. A galaxy learning to fight with both advanced technology and human precision. The shot that Hanul had taken on Nexus 7 had done more than win a contest. It had changed the course of a war and humanity's place in the stars.